Today we're talking about the climate emergency declarations that we wrote in Dover and Sherborn. We are students from the Sustainability Task Force, and it is a group of students, adults, faculty members, community members, pretty much everyone, and we're all passionate about the environment and increasing awareness about climate change and creating real change in our community. The group is led by myself and Dawn Fattori, the district's business manager, and we're all students from the politics subcommittee of the task force, and we wrote up the climate declarations that we're going to be speaking about today. So Ellie, do you want to talk a bit about the declaration for Sherborn?
Yeah, so my name's Ellie Hyde. I'm a sophomore at DSHS, and we are going to be speaking or presenting the article asking Sherborn to declare a state of climate and ecological emergency on the 26th. So the article emphasizes what citizens can do in educating them on the fact that this is an issue and we need to begin addressing it. Sherborn has already taken some actions to become a more green town, including becoming a green community in 2011.
This article will really help people become more aware that it actually is a crisis. It's not just something we should take care of a little bit every year. It's something that we need to address now, so it doesn't get worse for the future generations.
Yeah, and while the declaration isn't exactly forcing the town to do anything, it does, create a message to everyone, and it helps everyone come together to agree that yes, this is an emergency that we're experiencing, and we need to address this emergency. And so with the actions and the climate declaration itself, there are actions, that we suggest that the town takes to, become more effective at combating climate change. And then in Dover, which is a bit different, we wrote out a similar article to Sherborn's, but instead of it being voted on at town meeting, the Board of Selectmen has agreed to endorse this article, and instead they're going to be releasing a statement at town meeting and speaking about it, and they're going to be incorporating those values into their work, which is great. And so I think that in both towns we're kind of taking different approaches, but we're getting to the same goal of educating people and helping the community become more aware of this issue.
Yeah, and the effects of climate change are becoming even more apparent in both Dover and Sherborn, locally. I know that the colonial water supply in Dover had been affected from E. coli in the past couple of years, and the town's kind of been struggling with that, and that's kind of bad for the health of all the people who live in Dover and use town water.
Yeah, and also since the other half of Dover, and I know Sherborn, is on residential well water, if something happens to our well water, if it gets contaminated or if it runs dry, we really don't have another source of water and we're in big trouble. Mm-hmm. And also, as the temperature rises, mosquitoes are out more, ticks are out more, and there's a bigger risk of getting, triple E, Lyme disease, and it's also increases your risk of having heat exhaustion, heat stroke, those other health-related issues.
There have also been more physical examples of the effects of climate change, including Sewell Brook in Sherborn, which is a failed culvert that collapsed. And examples like this will become and are becoming increasingly more apparent. And then because of this, many communities in Massachusetts, especially those in and around Cape Cod, have passed climate declarations similar to ours, especially because those are places where the effects of climate change have become a greater and greater issue, which just demonstrates that this is a common theme and people are creating change to try to solve this issue.
Yeah, and climate emergencies declarations are nothing new. 24 other communities in Massachusetts have already passed it, thousands of other governments across the world, and we just thought this would be a great way for our towns to kind of step up and, declare an emergency. On the topic of collapsed roads, Claybrook Road has also collapsed, a portion of it, near the Charles River, and it's actually right down from my house. I can go on a walk and pass by, and I know it's been increasingly obvious that that road is, getting destroyed because of flooding and the Charles River and erosion and everything.
Yeah, and again, this article isn't declaring an emergency. It's not forcing anyone to take any measures. We're not saying, everyone has to
have a carbon neutral home by next year or anything. It just really brings more awareness and like just gives people the tools or the ideas they need to actually take action instead of just saying, oh, you need to protect our climate. It just gives more like specific goals for the town and the people in general to have.
Yeah. And I think that, we're focusing on education and awareness, and I think if the town, once the town provides materials and resources for residents, to take it in their own hands and to have a better idea of what to do, it might not seem as scary. If we know all the opportunities you can take, what's best for you and what's best for our town, and we can just really make a smart decision on how to do this. Because I don't think combating climate change should be something that we're forcing ourselves into, or we're like sacrificing ourselves, to do. I think it's more of something that we're taking the best measures for ourselves and our town, and whatever the town decides to do would be the best decision for us.
Yeah, Sherburne currently has 2 sustainability coordinators who are working to spread awareness to citizens about this issue, and a climate emergency declaration would just help emphasize how important this is and that this is a critical need for all citizens to begin working on. And also, it'll save people money if that's an issue people are concerned about. It'll save people money long term, because buying into sustainable and green technologies now will, in their homes, such as solar panels or electric vehicles and heat pumps, will save money later when it becomes harder and harder to deal with other issues that are affecting their homes.
And especially as like fossil fuels, they're not infinite. Like they're gonna run out at some point, and when there's like less of a resource, the prices get higher. We've all seen the inflation in the gas prices recently. So yeah, if money is an issue long term, it would actually be more financially stable or financially beneficial to switch to more electrical or like solar power, wind power, just other alternatives to like fossil fuels and stuff.
Yeah. And another big question we've gotten is like, does this require funding from the town? And the answer is no. Like, our article is just to declare a climate emergency, and then it suggests that the town take actions to educate residents, make some changes, and really just take what actions would be best for our town. So no, it does not require funding.
Yeah. And with that, it would also suggest that the town create a climate action plan, which has already been put in place by a few other local towns, such as like Wellesley, that would further like to help the environment in Dover and Sherburne and create some more like concrete goals for them.
Yeah, and what that is, a climate action plan is pretty much just a step or a plan, obviously, that we could take to, for example, by this year we want to set a goal of reducing carbon emissions by this amount, and here are the steps that our town should do to, make that a possibility, and then here are some goals by the next 5 years that we want to achieve, and they're really just like realistic goals that we can set and that we can achieve that will help our town become more efficient? Carbon neutral.
Yeah.
Carbon neutral, that's the word.
Yeah.
And then I also think as young people, we are going to kind of grow into a world that is becoming increasingly affected by climate change. We aren't old enough to vote now, but it's important that we do make our voices heard, because we are going to be, the most affected by this.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree.
You want to add anything else?
Yeah,
Why it's important?
Just that, the changes really are like becoming more like local, not just like things that you hear about on the news, but as like we've said in past examples with like the cyanobacteria and the roads collapsing. This is really, like Angela said, it's really going to affect us, and it already is affecting us. So it's really like dire that we do something about it, or the towns are in very dire condition, and it's important that we do something to help them.
Yeah, as Aaliyah mentioned, Farm Pond has been experiencing cyanobacteria blooms, or harmful algae blooms, the past few summers, which is something that Sherburne has prided itself on Farm Pond not having, even though many surrounding towns do. And this is just one of the effects of climate change that has been really personal for Sherburne as a town recently. And it's important that we pass this declaration in order to prevent things from this to occurring in the future. And then also, as young people, we just feel this urgent need to protect the planet, not only for ourselves, but people in the future. And even if it doesn't seem like this is necessary now, it's just going to continue to become more apparent how much we really need this.
Yeah, and I think it doesn't really matter how old you are, where you live, and what your situation is. Climate change is going to affect everyone. Like, higher temperatures are going to increase health risks. Like, having bugs out more often is going to increase health risks. And I mean, flooding and other natural disasters will just kind of create a very unstable environment for us to live in, and it's really just not healthy for anyone as this goes forward. And I think it's important that we address this now.
And it's not like, it's important to educate people and like bring people to be aware of it, because it's not something you go to the town board and say, oh, you fix it. It's like the community's problem, and it's up to like all the people collectively to solve it. Like,
Yeah. We just want to all agree that this is something that we should prioritize as a town, and that's something we really care about, and it's one of our values. Yeah. And so Sherborne's town meeting is going to be on?
It's going to be on April 26th, which is coming up. So we would love the support of anyone who would come, who would like to come and vote on this or vote in support of our article, because this is something that, again, citizens need to take action on, because it's something that is going to continue to affect us all in your future.
Yeah, and Dover's town meeting is on May 2nd. And while this won't be voted on, I think it'd be great if you could, show your support for us and just hear what the Board of Selectmen has to say. And if you would like more information, honestly, our website's a bit long for me to say out, but if you search up DS Sustainability Task Force in Google, the first option that pops up is our website, and you can find more information there. And thank you so much for tuning in. We really appreciate, your ears, I guess, and your eyes. And I hope that this gave you a better understanding of why this is so important to pass and why we care so much about this climate emergency declaration. Thank you so much.